the audio, right?
Yeah, I can hear it. Good.
All right. So I'm here with Lane, my guy from Alabama. We became good buddies through a mutual coach when Wes was coaching us, and we just kind of took an interest in each other, a lot of similar mindsets. So we're recording a podcast, and we're also live, guys. So if you have questions, I'll try to keep an eye on this. Lane will look at it.
Yeah, and I'm sure. Yeah, I may have some clowns in there messing with me. So.
Oh, it's all good, man. All good. Let's see what we got. All right, man. So what do we want to start with? We got a lot of stuff
uh,
on.
yeah. Listen, I always got questions for you, so I'm gonna run through real quick on. There's one thing I was gonna ask you about. This is a topic you talked about, balance, and balance means you suck at everything. Real quick, just knock that out real
Yeah,
quick.
sure, dude. So if you see this, man, this is an ambigram like the Illuminati used to do. It says balance both ways. You look at it upside down and all that. And I got that because I always struggled with it, and I was like, man, I can't figure this out. Like I'm all in here, all in there. And I realized, okay, if I'm a father, I'm a husband, and I'm a business owner, I'm a friend, I'm an athlete. If I try to be balanced, that means everything's even. So what you're actually mediocre at everything. If you're balanced, it just means you're you
You suck
suck,
at everything. I like that.
no good. So then when I started viewing it as, despite all these tattoos that I got over the years that represent balance, but they're good reminders for that point in my life. But it's harmony, just like a piece of music. One note's going to be high, one's going to be, that's what makes music, beautiful music. It's got to be harmony. Throw balance out the window. It's a fallacy.
Got you. Got you. Hey, real quick, I want to touch on this. So I keep getting people sending me stuff about Celtic sea salt having lead in it.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with this? Go ahead and knock this out. Because
Yeah.
look, I get it, and then eventually, everybody sends me stuff, and if that was the case, I'd quit breathing air. So, I'm gonna go with you on this. I know you
Yeah.
research this a little more.
So people have been telling me the Baja Gold salt is much more pure. Look, there's impurities and everything. There's toxins in damn near everything. I don't stress it with that. People get so into the weeds and
Yeah,
with stuff like that, and then they'll go have a beer or they'll have sugar, and I'm like,
a
pick
hundred
and
percent.
choose. Yeah, like to me,
Yeah.
it's like when you start nitpicking. Now you want to try to get the highest source stuff you can, but
So the question is, have you cut Celtic salt or Redmond out yet?
no, I have not because I
Okay,
still have.
okay, so we still got the green light. That's what I was wondering.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure we could still do that. I was going to get
sure.
the okay
I
from
get
you.
to try to Baja Gold next, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't stress it, man. I don't stress it.
All right. Second question. All right. So I've done a 5.5 day fast. All
Nice.
right. As far as I went, obviously drinking, no food. Tell me this, what I've noticed, and I've talked to people who've went 13, 14 days. Body fat does have a lot to do with this. And I believe as far as how hard it is for you. Question, does that, I can't say the word apathy, or I can't say the word
Atrophy.
yeah, yeah. Does that kick in quicker if you have lower body fat? Does a lot of these things speed up whenever your body's not
Oh, you're
running in
talking about
that?
autophagy.
Yeah, autophagy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So all the benefits of fasting, if you are starting from a lower body fat, is all that stuff going to kick in quicker, or is it going to kick in slower if if
It's
you have more body
kick in
fat?
quicker because to me, the way I tie everything together with it is about the insulin. So the closer
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
are to having a good insulin profile, being more insulin sensitive, the more quickly you're going to get the benefits. Like I have guys right that you build up insulin resistance over your whole lifetime. A lot of people, right, just eating 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day, whatever, not sleeping. You ain't going to reverse it. Like in, it's not going to
Correct.
take you as long to reverse it, but you're not going to reverse 35 years of damage in 2 months.
Yeah.
Like but the longer you do it, so yeah, the closer profile you are to being more insulin sensitive, I do believe you get into the benefits, the deeper cellular benefits.
Quicker. Yeah,
Yes.
like when they talk about 12 hours this, 18 hour, of course that's a guideline, but I mean if you're 200 pounds overweight versus 5% body fat, it's going to be different for everybody,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I hadn't really heard anybody touch on that, as far as that. Listen, I always want to thank you on this as far as like even my coaching and how it's changed, you know, with all my people that I get in, you know, it's got to be their goals, right? We always got to, I say sustainability is the number one goal for me. This isn't a diet. This isn't, it's got to be a whole lifestyle change. So, but I have implemented, I know you're not so much on the macros, but, with my guys tracking macros and including the fasting, we've been killing the results, and I want to thank you for that, man,
Awesome.
because those guys, man, when you're burning it at both ends, I tell people, when you're not fast and you're straight into the macros, it's really been helping. So I do
That's
want to
right.
thank you
Of
for
course.
definitely putting that out there on those guys, because man, we're getting killer results by doing both.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, it's I watch you guys, man. It's awesome what you guys are doing.
Yeah. And listen, man, that confidence comes from it. I know with coaching, whenever you can, it's one thing to do it for yourself. It's another thing to see somebody else do it,
Heck
and
yeah.
then see other people. Then you see, older people do it or younger people doing it, and then obviously with the fasting, you can see everybody getting the benefits from it. So
Yeah,
definitely getting a lot of confidence from doing that for
no
sure.
doubt, man. Just trying to keep an eye. See if you see any questions pop up and I miss them, just let me know.
Yeah. Uh, trying to. All
All right.
right, so you want to dig off in the weeds? Is that? I
Yeah,
think that's where
sure.
you're ready to
Whatever you
go.
want, man. Yeah,
All right,
I want
so give me the overview of what the Donald Trump situation, like just the
uh,
whole 50,000 foot
yeah.
view for
So
Panama.
it's funny, dude, because we put out another video last week where I said keep doubling down on my prediction. I don't believe there's going to be an election, and now it's looking a little more likely, like I was going to be right. So a lot of red flags, a lot of ways this can go with the Trump thing. It's funny because we went to a music festival, me and my boy, and the families, and it happened right when we got there. Everybody's blowing up the phone. So a couple aspects of it. You got to look at all aspects, right? Because I love the idea of Trump, but you have to be cautious too. So if you just look at it at face value, they tried to assassinate him. Well, I'm surprised it took that long, but who did it, right? Is it the deep state? But let's start at this perspective because most people aren't talking about this. A lot of stuff right away. I said whatever the mainstream's telling us, is not the truth. So I always start there, right? I start at that premise. So you had this guy on the roof, and people are telling the cops and Secret Service, and they don't do anything. Okay, so it's either he's got dirty people protecting him, or is it possible that Trump's side, right? And you got to look at, we'll talk about the white hats and the black hats because this is a key thing. That Trump side set it up. Again, I'm a Trump guy, but the fact that he went down, stood up, which was an iconic picture, they would never let him stand back up like that. It could have been a second shooter. So it's like, what the hell is actually going on? So, is it a setup on their side to drum up support? Is it, to stage it? Was it the other side, the black hats? Because now I believe what's going to happen is they're going to go after Biden and Harris. Somebody's going to pop them, and they're going to say it was a MAGA supporter. It was a white supremacist Christian nationalist.
Yeah.
So now, if that, let's say that happens with both of them, now they got two versus one, right? Now the emotional support is going to swing back to them.
Oh yeah.
So, but going back to the Trump thing, is Trump? You got to remember, Trump allowed COVID. He pushed the vaccine, right? There's a lot of red flags. Again, I love the idea of Trump, but
Listen, yeah, hey, even go back to that. I think it was a old interview back in the 2000s. They asked him if he was ever going to run for president. He said
yeah,
he'd be a Republican because they're stupid and they believe everything. Now
dude,
did he change his view on that? And me and you also know this. I've studied a lot of billionaires. I've learned from them. I listed. They're not stupid. Okay, they have a public face. They have a private face. They have obviously everybody does. But what I'm saying is they're not showing their cards. They're not telling you everything. They're
no,
not stupid. They're. I always say this: whatever happened in this event, who benefited, who come out looking good. These things you start looking at just from what happened and who come out looking good, and you got to draw conclusions from there because I don't
yeah.
feel like anybody could get that close. Anyways, go ahead.
Oh, God, I
Interjected
saw my
that.
boy Frank's on too. He knows a lot about this stuff. So, uh, awesome dude. You got to meet him when you come up. One of my best buddies. But you have that aspect. So the white hats and black hats, for people that are not familiar with this terminology, this is a spiritual battle like we talked about last time we talked. Right, it's good versus evil. I believe this since COVID started. All this stuff ties together. All these wars, all this
Totally
fugazi
agree.
stuff,
Control, fear.
all of it, dude. It's all tied together. So Is it possible, just playing devil's advocate, that Trump is just a part of the deep state? Who would be better? How does the devil work? Right? The devil works. He kind of reels you in. Hey, come over here. We could all be being played right now, and this could go that way, and boom, we're in a nightmare.
Yeah.
So that's a very real possibility. Is it possible that when he went down behind the podium, he put on some fake blood like they used to do in WWE or whatnot? It's very possible, right?
Yeah.
So again, I like to. I always say I believe 90% that he's on the forces of good. He's on the power of good. But
Yeah.
I hold a reservation because I'm like, listen, you could all be being played. We could all be being played. It's too
Yeah.
many red flags with what happened. It doesn't make any sense that they allowed, like, there's people, oh, they told the Secret Service and the cops 5 minutes before. There's a guy up there on the roof.
Yeah.
I don't believe that that guy, I mean, just looking at him, this Antifa guy, there could have been a second shoot. Like, we don't know, right? We have no idea. But it's just, as soon as it happened, man, something smells fishy.
Yeah, the Mark Twain quote goes, I guess when there's too many people or when you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to rethink.
Yeah.
Listen, there's just too many people. You know what I'm saying? It's just too many people on that side of the boat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like, for it to make sense, and
Yeah.
I'm always gonna be the hard headed one that's, always gonna question everything.
Oh, you
And
have to question everything.
well, listen, and I won't ever forget. I think, I was really big into politics, super deep. When Trump was running the first time, just from an observer, because I was a conspiracy guy. But I remember him saying that they talked about he didn't use the government security; he paid for his own because he didn't trust them. Okay, now you're telling me that this is 4 years later. There's way more threats. It's even worse, and you're telling me that he didn't have the best private security, and you're telling me it's a state sniper police officer guy doing it. I just don't buy that.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and so enough of it was, and then also number two, I want to throw this in. What rifle do they always say? Okay, that he was getting assassinated with, right? Or they shot him with. The last gun, one of the last guns you would take to go snipe somebody would be an AR style weapon. You'd use a bolt action, you'd use some kind of rifle. Everybody knows that. You would never use a semi automatic, to make one shot or whatever. So it's just so fishy. And it's one of those things, if Trump gets elected, by the way, he did more gun control than Biden has since he's been in. So whenever he gets in, listen, guys, I know we love ARs, but that one almost killed me. Let's just put some bands on it. So I could see that going that way too. Just
Oh,
so happened to be perfectly an AR. It just smelled, those kind of things smell fishy to me. But that's my view of it.
yeah, very fishy, man. Like I said, we know that whatever the mainstream's telling us is not true. But what I've been saying, right? You're coming up now. Now we're in crunch time. The election is supposed to be November, right? Things are only going to ramp up from here, man. Now the sharks. I don't know if you've been following this.
No,
Sharks have been acting very fishy on the East Coast. A lot of attacks are closing beaches, all this stuff. Sharks are very perceptive. They can sense vibrations in the water, just like animals can sense a storm coming in way before humans. They start acting weird. So the sharks, so now who knows what the hell they're doing down there? Um, but, people think it's crazy. But I always laugh because I'm like, we put up the video last week, I was saying, right? People are, the clowns are out and the trolls. No, oh, something big is going to happen. Next day, Trump gets shot at. So it's like,
yeah,
all these people, man, they just, and people believed COVID, right? And now we all know it's wide open that it was a complete pandemic.
yeah,
But yet
and
they
so
go right back to
also,
believing.
yeah, 100%.
What were you going to say?
Yeah, and so also, like I said, I just want to be fair with everything. I hate when people, stay one-sided, and this is what I like about you as far as what you've said. But Trump was, look, everybody's anti-vaccine now, and everybody, but Trump pushed that, and you cannot.
That was a huge
There is
red
no way around that.
flag.
So I love how people put blinders on when they want to see what they want to see, and like I said, they think that you have to pick one of two options, and there is always a third option of not having an option. So
Yes. And dude, there's a lot of theories too. I love studying this stuff, man. But like, okay, we know the last election was stolen. Like anybody with a brain can just look at the actual stats and see that there's too many anomalies. Now, if you're looking at the white hat, black hat, some of the theory goes that they had to allow this 4 years to happen, right? Because otherwise, enough people wouldn't have been awake to just the craziness. So who's actually are the white hats, or have they been in control of Biden the whole time, just having this puppet? Now that's another thing. When they do CIA analysis, the facial recognition stuff I've been listening to lately, there's either I've heard there's 6 different actors that play Biden. They've shown this, guys, when the earlobes connect on one guy,
Yeah.
don't connect on the other. The facial recognition at the debate was like a 60 something percent match. If it's the same person, it has to be like 95% or above.
Yeah.
So like it's all like, but so again, I don't think we have any idea what's going on. For anybody to
Yeah.
think that, oh, that's impossible, I'm like, listen,
Well,
you would have told me COVID was impossible a month before it happened,
I
right?
got a question for you. So listen, here's my major off theory. I've always said this. Okay, we're talking about people with billions and billions and billions of dollars. Okay, all the technology on the planet. This is what I've always said, Panda Man. If they wanted somebody dead, you would be dead in a matter of millisecond.
Yeah,
Listen, they could shoot you, they could zap you with something from the sky, and nobody
directly
would
from
even
the
know you.
press. Yeah,
You would be dust. Okay, if the technology we know about, they're not only 20 years, they're 2 million years ahead of what we got. So,
way
so
ahead.
here's what I'll say is, could they can make a bullet do whatever, they can make his ear do whatever, they got AI, they got all. So the matter of trying to figure out exactly what happened, what I will say, if they wanted a man dead, he'd be dead. I've always said this, and I've always said if he was real, you'd have never known about him in the first place. You got people
Yeah,
like Bill Cooper. You start looking at all the people who really were on to what, on to things, the guys you've never heard of, those guys, I've always said if you're real, you'd be dead. So I don't, not to like, kill all the conspiracy. I know it's cool, it's fun, but at the end of the day, if they want somebody dead, if they want you dead, you're dead. Now that could be a lot of people will say that's a whatever spirit or whatever, like a defeatist spirit or whatever. I just say it really put me back into, hey, all I can control is me and my influence can get bigger. But at the end of the day, if somebody that powerful has that much money, has that much resources, wants you dead, Donald Trump wouldn't be alive, in my
it's,
opinion, if he wasn't playing ball in some way. Do you agree on
exactly.
that or not?
Yeah, 1,000%,
Yeah,
1,000%. There's technology, like you said, now you have the direct energy weapons that are up in the
for
sky,
sure.
but then you have ones I've heard of where they can put these things, man, and they can just shoot at crowds. And I've heard of this. Not you don't see anything. It's waves. It's frequencies. Heart attacks. People dropping over. All this stuff,
100%.
man. Like people, I just have their people are so naive. It's just crazy to me. Like it's nuts, man. It's
Yeah,
insane. But I believe you. I mean, I agree with you 100% on that.
yeah. Yeah, and I also heard some theories as far as this that they're going to try to stir up the race baiting.
Oh yeah,
They'll start attacking the black churches, or
yeah.
that's something to kind of see happening. As far as the white versus black, that's always the
Oh yeah. Well,
dividing
divide
ground.
and
They're going
so
to do that.
going with that, the oldest trick in the playbook: divide and
Yeah,
conquer.
100%.
Right? Playing devil's advocate again. What character could you pick that's more divisive than Donald Trump? He's the most lightning rod guy there's ever been. Right? He's also the most persuasive human being we've ever seen. But you divide, you stir everybody up like they've been trying to do. Like this could all be part of the plan, man. I'm just telling people, like, don't be naive. Don't. No
Yeah.
man is going to save you. God's the only one that can save us.
Yeah, you got to take action. At the end of the day, and I was in the same boat, as far as taking action, where that it leaves that anxiety, and so the people who are the most loudest, the ones that are pushing it the worst, or that talk about it the most, are the ones that don't want to take action in their own life. So if we can just get this guy in, like if your life sucks before Trump, it's gonna suck after Trump, and
Yeah.
it's gonna suck when you get him in there. So
Yes.
nothing's gonna, but it is a almost a childish thing that you can just live in fantasy land and you can just imagine things being better, if we can just get him in. So, but like I said, this is not a Joe Biden, endorsement. This isn't a Donald Trump,
No, not at all.
hammer. It just is reality that we're in the
No.
situation we're in.
Good versus evil, man. The devil's sneaky.
Yeah.
You gotta
No, for,
watch.
yeah, for sure. Any more thoughts I guess the key aspects of I guess in the weeds about it that was fishy to you? Obviously, the fist bump was almost kind of cringy to me in a way of like,
They never
hold
allowed
on,
that.
stop. Let me get up here and get this picture done. It was weird to me. I don't know.
They would
How?
never allow that because again, there could be another shooter.
Yeah,
They'll say, all right, this was staged one way or another, You know, people, oh, you think he was going to take himself out? No, no, no. How do you know the shots were real?
100%.
Some guy told me this morning. Well, somebody died. I'm like, how do you know he died? Because the TV told
They
you.
told you, but you didn't see the TV.
Yeah, dude, and
Listen,
that's the
I've had
thing.
listen,
As soon as
I've
you say
literally
that,
had somebody tell me before we was talking about the moon landings, and this was a 65-year-old baby boomer, and he literally told me because I asked him about the moon landings. He looked at me dead in the eyes and said, "I know it's true. I saw it on TV when it happened." You know what I mean? But at the end of
yeah,
the day, you can't argue with that. You know, I mean, like these people are, and we're not going to persuade anybody here. Anybody's going to believe
dude,
what they're going to believe. But
here's something. Belief is the enemy of knowing.
100%. You cannot. Yeah, I don't believe in Panda Man. I know him.
Yes, that's it.
I tell that people all the time. I don't want my kids to believe in me, and I tell people even in our coaching, I don't believe in what I do. I don't believe the system's going to work. I don't believe you can do it. I know what I do works. I know you can do it. I don't know if you're going to do it. I don't know if you will put in the same way with fasting. You know what
Yeah,
it can do. Yeah, belief's a dangerous thing. I follow Mark Passio. He said that's one of the most dangerous things in the world is belief. You better know something, and there's
no,
things I know, and there's things that if I don't know them, then I'm gonna ask questions about them. I'm not gonna believe in them.
yeah. You got to develop. You got to keep that empty cup philosophy. Keep pouring empty your cup so you can put new stuff in and try and see and look and do your own research.
Yeah.
You know, that's spot on, dude. Spot on.
Anything else on the Trump thing that you saw?
Oh man. Um, yeah, I don't buy the narrative at all. But I do think as far as predictions, watch who they're coming for next. Because
Okay,
everybody's
so I like that. I hadn't heard anything about the retaliation,
oh
so
yeah,
that's
dude.
pretty interesting. Now they can justify that blood. They took our blood, so we're and listen. That's what I told somebody the other day. If you want to talk about radicalizing people, what just happened, and then also what did he say? Whenever he got shot, what did he immediately say? Like if you just got almost you almost got killed, the first thing you jump up and say is fight, 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 fight. Like fight what? Fight, who we fighting? Right? I mean, am I right?
You're 1,000% right, dude.
Who
It's
who, who are we fighting?
yeah, yeah. We don't even know who the enemy is. It's good versus evil. That's where I start, man. It's evil forces.
Yeah.
Evil forces. But I'll have more on that coming up. I'm kind of waiting and seeing what. But yeah, I don't buy the narrative at all.
Yeah. And then as far as the election thing, so what's got you pulling on no election part of it?
Here's the
Just
funny thing, dude. I made this video over a year ago now. People, you're nuts. There's always. I said, first of all, you don't know history, then, right? Every empire lasts about 250 years before it collapses. Why does it collapse? It collapses from the inside because you get further away from the founding principles. Like for us, our founding fathers. You see how radical people are now, right? And they think they can just live in fantasy and make up gender and all this type of stuff. So you get further away from that. So I don't. Again, if it's on surface level, neither side can really let it go to an election, right? The left side is going to cheat, right? They're trying to get illegal immigrants to be able to vote. Like that's just stupid, right? So the the left can't let it get to an election because I heard they can only cheat up to like 7%, right? And if you look at actual stats and actual people that research, I'm not talking about what the news tells you. Trump won either 49 or 50 states in the last election by actual tallies. Now, I've also heard that again, conspiracy, whatever you want, but he put in all this stuff into play right before he was out of office, where he theoretically is still been in control the whole time, right? Who's in control of the actual military? So I think what you're going to see, I don't think you're going to see a normal election. I don't think you're going to have an election. I think you're either going to see, if evil gets their way, again, there's so many layers to this. Martial law brought in before that, right? No election. Or Trump comes back in an untraditional way before that. And again, people will say, "This is not, you're crazy." I'm like, "All right, well, it's starting to look a little more real now." So let's see, man. We only got a couple months left.
yeah. It's come quick to me. I didn't realize how quick it was.
Yeah,
Not far off. What do you think about the vice president situation? I guess they were trolling. I just reposted it, but they said Dana White, but then they said he's just going to introduce him. Who do you think the vice president's going to be?
I think based on what I've read, I think that the North Dakota governor, Bergstrom, I think his name is, which seems
Yeah,
like, again, but all these people, if they're in politics,
100%.
it's right away, I'm like, I don't trust you.
Well, and Mark Twain's also got a quote that says, "If voting changed anything, they wouldn't let us do it."
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's kind of the same boat, to kind of see what's going to play out, and
But if you look,
definitely.
if you go real deep into this, man, stuff I've been studying since COVID got me real into it. There was a book by Ingersoll Lockwood, The Last President, written over 100 years ago. And the last president in the book, do you know what his name was?
What's that?
Barron Trump. Now, how in the hell is that possible? So there's realities in stuff that is so beyond most people's comprehension. Now, I don't know time travel or any, but there's stuff it would blow people's minds. I think if
Yeah.
we ever actually find out the truth of stuff.
Yeah. Well, hey, speaking of, listen, that's going to bleed us in. I'm not to jump off the conspiracy talk, but I do want to get into this because it's super deep in the weeds. You blew my mind with this. So I also want to thank you for this, because first of all, what we're about to talk about, if you have a hard time believing anything, quit listening to this.
Yes.
But the TMS, the pain deception. I want to kind of give us the breakdown of where you found that, and then
Yeah.
also I'll give my story after you kind of talk about it.
Sure.
And I really appreciate what you did, because it was instant relief that night. It was like almost already over, So
Hey, look, I'll tell you too. Where I think I told you this on the phone when we talked last, but you have we're going back and forth. You have the continuum. You have the warrior, the teacher, and the healer, right? So the healer is the highest level. Where most people think the warrior is actually the other end. So when I was competing in bodybuilding, that was warrior mode, right? But developing direct knowledge. So anyway, coming into the healer aspect. So TMS is tension myositis syndrome, and I'm telling you, dude, there's been over 50 clients I've had throughout the years where this concept completely transformed their life.
100%,
Like for you, like almost like instantly.
100%.
But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
tell everybody this because again, people are going
You
to tune it
can't.
out.
Well, that's why, and I didn't. That's why I was going to ask you if you even talk about it. If you even talked about it, because this is super deep. And I'll tell you what, real quick, what sold me, because obviously I want to hear this. When I found out the doctor who invented it, or come up with the concept, was super high up in, had done a lot of surgeries. When I heard that, so there was some validation of somebody who was saying that this was, and it also made sense to me because of the time and what it did for me. And then it made sense that when your body is in a fight or flight, you're literally in inflammation all the time by causing it through by worrying, and that they were talking about even soldiers who live in that constant anxiety, they burn holes in their brains.
Oh yeah,
This is why, like, there's literally, they can use an MRI scan of somebody who's been in a constant state of like you said, that tension,
oh yeah.
that it affects everything. So but yeah, go ahead a little bit more on that.
So I'll tell you how I've figured it out. Right, direct knowledge, like anything, like with the fasting. So 2000, I'll give you the quick story of it. 2005, just come off my second bodybuilding show, and right before I started getting ready for that show, a girl that I was dating broke up with me. So, but then I went right into the distraction of getting ready for the show. So I didn't never dealt with that. Right, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm just focused on this. At the same time, so I didn't do that well in that show that year, which was a big letdown for me. And I was running this basketball league, this big basketball league in town. I was the founder of it, ran it, organized refs and played, blah, blah. Stuff wasn't, there was a lot of turmoil going into this one season. So all this stress, right? And this is going to sound strange, but the way it started with me, I noticed, I think it was the next morning, so that was a Friday night, started getting like rectal bleeding when I went to the bathroom. I was like, what the hell is this? Didn't think too much about it. Oh, maybe a hemorrhoid. Never had a hemorrhoid at that point. Anyhow, this thing turns into this chronic thing they think is Crohn's disease over the next 2 years. I had rectal ulcer surgery. I would get ulcers, I had ulcers everywhere. And I went around the country. I went to the Cleveland Clinic, which prestigious, one of the most prestigious hospitals in the world. Went down to Tennessee to this special hospital. I had doctors doing experimental stuff on me that I would bring the research to them, like this methylene blue people talk about. I was doing that stuff 20 years ago, and trying to kill nerves because what happened, it wound up turning into like this rectal. This sounds crazy, dude, but like this rectal irritation, like itch. It would drive me insane, out of my mind. And I'm a clean person, all that. So it wasn't nothing like that. And I was so desperate, dude. I went to all these doctors, surgeries, all this stuff. And I'd heard Dr. Sarno, Howard Stern was talking about when I used to listen to him back. So it's 2006, And I was desperate at this point, dude. I lost 30 pounds, stopped everything, no social life. Almost committed suicide at that point. No joke. I had the knife out one night. And I hear this, and Stern's saying he had this chronic back pain. And hey, look into Dr. Sano's stuff. He cured me. So I look into it, and it's the idea that the symptoms are real that you're having. The brain is very powerful. What's the cause of them? So I tried to buy into the concept. I was like doing all the work, and it wasn't working. So finally, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do another bodybuilding show because I'm so depressed. I've got nothing to live for. Let me just do this. Start getting ready for the bodybuilding show. Again, my focus, and they talk about in the Great Pain Deception, you can't focus on two things at the same time. People think they can, they can't. So I got so involved in my preparation, all my symptoms started going away week by week. I'm like, holy crap, this is true. But I needed something to be such a distraction, like such a focal shift, that I realized, again, direct knowledge, I'm like, this concept is true. So the concept is when you have these things based in Freudian psychology, they coming to the surface of your brain. Your brain views these as threatening. Whatever these traumas, and doesn't matter. You don't have to figure out what they are. They're coming to the surface. So what your brain does to protect yourself from these things, it'll give your body a symptom by reducing blood flow to an area. Like if your back ever goes out, oh, I went to tie my shoe, my back went out. I'm like, logically think about that. You're lifting weights and all this, and you go to tie your shoe and your back goes out. That was the trigger. But now what happens, like what happened with me, these symptoms, and then I had dealt with it with the back, like the symptom imperative. It was such a distraction from it. Like it was my focus was that figuring this out. So it's a distraction. That's the key. You're not imagining it. The symptoms are real. But when you reduce blood flow to an area, oxygenation goes down to that tissue, and pain can be off the charts. The back is a very common area. So that's kind of the lowdown of it.
Very, very interesting. Listen, I bought the book, but I just started listening to interviews on YouTube of the guy talking about it and stuff, and it goes deep in the weeds, But it just made sense to me too, just staying in a state of inflammation and just also, just that positive thinking of like, they said, well, how do you really get over? He said, you just start doing something else, like whatever you think you can do, you just start doing it, and it really will. Uh, you know, I think said like 95% of the time, it's going to
Dude,
be good.
I think I told you, it's like a superpower. So
It
now,
really is when you know it. Yeah. And I will say this. So the separation is if you break your leg, 2 days later, your leg's not going to be healed. They're talking about something chronically, something that keeps coming up, especially back pain was my thing, lower back pain, whatever it was. And yeah, well, so what kind of woke me up, every spring, summer, my back would go out because, I'd been kind of taking not really easy, but I've been spending more time with the family, and I don't want to get it's about to get hot if it start working, and it would be a lot of stress because I would have all these yards at the same time. I would have a lot of workload, this, that, and my back would always go out. It was crazy, like clockwork. I would go to the chiropractor.
yeah,
And what really woke me up, the reason why I called, I really got depressed. I really got down because I really couldn't get up in the mornings hardly. I couldn't get up in the mornings and felt like, like I just had a knife in my back. And I kept going to the chiropractor, kept going to the chiropractor. Well, after he kind of, I went to two different chiropractors, and he finally told me, he's like, hey, we're fixing to do MRI. You're going to get surgery or something, if I can't fix it, because I told him, it wasn't getting better. And so I got desperate, and then I talked to you about it, and you were like, don't worry about it. There's this, so check it out. And well, after watching those videos and really understanding it and comprehending it, yeah, that next night, I literally woke up the next day and I thought like it had went away 100%. It was like 95% gone. And then of course it come back a little bit more for the next couple of days, but then boom, no symptoms, no nothing. And I know that's what it was for
yeah,
sure.
that's it. And
Just
that's
being
why
aware of it.
that's the key. And that's why I don't bring it up to people, even if I know, because I wait till they get to that breaking point where they
You
open
can't, yeah.
right?
Yeah, you really do. Hey, listen, I was actually going to say something the other day, even like for coaching and getting guys, obviously our job is to get, people to become better versions of themselves. And obviously we have to do that through nutrition, number one, and fitness too. But I told somebody, I almost pray for you guys to hit a rock bottom because at the end of the day, there's so many people floating on the bottom, but they're not hitting that bottom. And I was at a bottom whenever I come into fitness nutrition. I was at a bottom. So it was nowhere but up.
Yeah,
And I told somebody the other day, I'm like, guys, I really, really hope you guys hit a rock bottom soon because you're gonna float. You're gonna float on the bottom until you die. And so it's one of those things, man. Um, I don't know, everybody's different. Everybody has different. If I would have been introduced to this stuff, I would never hit the rock bottom. But I'm thankful for it.
Yes,
They say
yes,
Carl Jung said your roots got to go to hell to go to heaven. Or the tree of the go to but that rock bottom. You know what I mean? If you ain't really hit a rock bottom, you really can't appreciate. It's like the yin and the yang, or the yin and the yang with you got to experience really really tough times to experience the highs.
you have to. You have to. It's the way it works, man. But it's powerful stuff. Super
Yeah.
powerful.
So yeah, definitely appreciate that. And like I said, I know I've never. Have you ever done any YouTubes on it or any
I've
stories
done
on it?
a little bit. It's something that is definitely on my list because I know how many people it can help. Kind of like the
Yeah,
fast.
well, yeah. I want you to touch on it, yeah, because like I said, I don't feel experienced enough to do it. But listen, man, just what you did right there, man, literally saved. I heard one of the guys talking about. He had a surgeon that he taught the TMS stuff too, right? And he asked him. He said, "Well, how do you deal with that? Like with your occupation, because literally you wouldn't have to do as many surgery." He says that he introduces it to him, and he says we always got two options. You want to do this or you want to do this, because at the end of the day, the reason why I think we could agree on this: if it don't make money, it don't make sense. And with what we're talking about on this process, you don't need anybody other than a book or a YouTube video. And so there's no money to be made in healing people mentally, or helping, even obviously through what we do. Nutrition fitness can also, I think, heal a lot of this TMS stuff.
Yeah,
As far as taking that tension by actually taking action and stuff. So
yeah.
I think that's why there's obviously no awareness of it, because nobody's making any money.
No,
Bill Gates isn't going to push
doesn't fit the model.
TMS.
Yeah, doesn't fit the model. And
Yeah,
this all ties into the powers that are dormant in us, right? What does it say? We're made in the image and likeness of the Creator. Now, all this stuff going around, all this stuff, the Trump stuff, all this stuff, I believe at the root of it is the suppression of knowledge of that we are made in the image and likeness of the Creator. You create your reality. You create anything you want. You can heal yourself, right? But that if this became public knowledge, the whole system collapses of control.
yeah.
So all this stuff ties together, man. Like
This
this.
is big stuff, guys. Listen, I'm telling you, anybody listening to this, research TMS. But like I said, a warning: if you're not ready to listen, then you're not gonna hear the message. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You got to be at that bottom. Because look, I'd have done. I tell people I would have ate glass. I would have ate glass to feel better at that point.
I knew when I
Uh,
mentioned it to you that you were at that point. That's why I said you just got to feel people out, and you know,
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'll tell you this much. I'm always open to information. Like I'm never a poo pooer on anything. We talk about some deep stuff, and listen, I may not agree with you on everything, but I also know I don't know everything, and me and you both are students, and this is why we like each other, is because we both can admit we don't know everything. And this is
yeah,
why we learn and grow so much quicker, because the ego's smaller and we can accept things of people, that we're not like or whatever. And this is why I've always had that, if you have the results, if you have something in your life, that obviously you got to have that vibration, you got to have something in your life to make me want to tune in. If you're living a totally hypocritical life, I can't listen to you. But if you got if you check some of the boxes for me, I'm going to listen to you. But they'll see one thing: hey, this guy wears colored glasses, or this guy does that, then they write everything off. And it's like, they said, if you agree with anybody on everything, one's not needed. So I always like, I'm always liking the difference, and I want to check into everything. So definitely, I want to see more content on that, because that's going to help a lot of people.
well, yeah, I'm gonna start doing
Uh,
that. That's
because
good.
listen, and I didn't know how big it was. That is a big. It's really big.
Oh yeah,
This isn't just a little small sect of the population. There's a big movement. There's a lot of doctors doing it. There's all kind of books on it. When I
huge, man.
started looking into it, this is nothing. But it's like, how could I be alive as long as I am and never heard about this ever? You know. But if you would have told 99% of the people I know, if you tell them about it, they're gonna laugh at it.
Yeah,
So now I know why they're not gonna get it, and that's the sad part, right?
yes, that's it, man. That's it, man. I mean, it's awesome watching you learn and apply
Yeah.
this
Hey,
stuff.
listen, I love it. You pass it on for sure, and like I said, we're gonna get the results and keep growing from it. So, uh,
I'll tell you what, we'll do one more topic. Then I just got to hop on another call. But next
yeah,
Monday, guys, if you're available, let's do part two next Monday because I got to
yeah,
get
for
it
sure.
in before I go on vacation at the end of the month. I want to back. Does that work for you?
Yeah. That should. Yeah, I'll try to make it work anywhere we're at for sure. Yeah, I asked you about that. The team. Okay, I was going to ask you about this real quick. Breatharians. Have you done any research on it? I know I sent it to you. Have you done any research on it? And then what is your thoughts on that? And I'll leave you on that because that intrigues me. I'll tell you that much.
Yes. I've done a little bit of research on it. Do I believe it's possible? I do. I think there's powers within us, like I said, that most people just can't even comprehend, right? And I'll tell you this too, along that same lines. This guy John Chang. I don't know if I ever told you about John Chang. Did I ever tell you about him?
Mm-mm.
The Magus of Java. So one of my favorite movies. I love John Carpenter stuff, right? And when I was a kid, I'm a little bit older than you, but Big Trouble in Little China. You ever see that?
No.
Oh, dude, you gotta watch it with Kurt Russell. And so John Carpenter based it off this guy John Chang. The book is called Magus of Java. And then actually, before I tell you a little bit to show you what's possible, again, people are gonna probably laugh about it. I don't really care. Mortal Kombat, the game, the franchise was based off the movie Big Trouble in Little China. So Mortal Kombat came from this guy John Chang. So John Chang was very secretive, lived in the Far East, and he allowed one of his first students to write a book on him. Like he didn't want this stuff public, but he agreed to it. And he was a level like supposedly in this secret martial art they had, right? They would go up to like 72 levels. John Chang was like a level 4. And this was documented. You can look him up on YouTube, man. Believe what you want. But the student swears, he's like, dude, he could take this pen, sit on a table, and move it across the table. He could levitate. He could do pyrokinesis. And this is going back 30 years. This is, it's not, people say, oh, they can do that. I know they can do that stuff, but you pick what you choose to believe in. But anyway, the powers that are within us, I think, are unbelievable, right? I really think they're off the charts of what the human body is capable of. And I think it is too. With the breatharians, we'll wrap it up with this. My one buddy, um, I've got a lot of buddies that are electricians, but he owns an electrical company. And he got really into the panda. Dude completely transformed in like a couple months. And his mind is blown because everything he's been taught his whole life with this stuff is the exact opposite. So we're driving up to climb Mount Washington. What you got to do with this next year, dude? You got to come up for that. That's in March. Um, and we're talking. He's like, we're talking about the calories and this and that. He goes, Kyle, we use the same calorie unit in electrical work, right? And he goes, 10 calories. If you got exposed to that through an electrical wire, it would kill you. 10 calories, right? Now, a small human being might have to operate off 1,500 to 2,000 calories a day. It's insane how much latent energy is within the human body that we have not tapped into. So it's just breatharians. Do I believe it's possible? Yes.
Yeah,
Right. I think
because
you have.
even the breath. So what they would say is obviously what is oxygen? It also and you can actually get air. There's moisture in the air. So as you breathe, and this by even people talk about doing a dry fast. A true dry fast, you don't even brush your teeth. You don't take baths because the body's absorbing it. So that's another thing they're talking about. So it's very interesting. But have you ever heard about it before? I'd sent that to you about the breatharians. Or
Not. So, a few other people have sent it, but not really before that.
Yeah.
You know.
So you don't know anybody listen, there's guys with millions of views on there. Like there's guys that they do classes where they ship you out for a couple of weeks and they show you how to transition into it or whatever. So,
Yeah. I think you have.
obviously there's enough information out there to get it, but I didn't know if you'd fool with it any.
No, I haven't messed with that yet. Like Devin's even on me to stop. I'll do a dry fast. Last summer I was doing a lot of it, but she's on me to stop. I've stopped for the time being because I've always had an issue with my kidneys. And
Yeah. What's the longest you've done on a dry fast?
I did a 3-day hard dry fast, no water
Yeah.
content. 3
Yeah,
days.
yeah, that's no, were you getting delusional? Were you getting lightheaded?
Not really lightheaded. Not to that. You definitely hit another realm, right? And again, you realize that hey, they told us that we die if you go
Yeah.
3 days without water. Well, that's not true at all.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna hold you any longer. I'm gonna send you a guy. So there's an Army Ranger in Washington that I follow, Greg Anderson. He was the one that quit his job during COVID.
Oh yeah,
Anyways, yeah. So he's doing a 5 day. He's on his fifth day. No food, no water, no nothing.
nice,
So he
great.
did 5 days, 5 day dry fast. So it is possible.
Oh,
So I don't
totally.
want to.
Yeah,
Yeah. So next Monday, we're gonna try to wrap it up next Monday.
yeah. Let's do it, man. Let's
Hey, I
do it.
appreciate it, Panda Man.
We'll be live. We'll be on iTunes and all that. Great catching up, bro.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you,
Jot
man.
down the questions. We'll be in touch.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, dude, that was fun, man.